Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into the Dota 2 Canada Cup Season 6 group stages. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's our first day of action, and we already had a fantastic game number one. In a surprising fashion, Digital Chaos, well, they're already down 0-1 of the group stages here, and they're looking to bounce back against Team Mischief, a bunch of mischievous fellows, of course. We've seen these players before. IX Mike, often brazen as he is, now part of the new Team Mischief Dota 2, with a couple of interesting characters along the way, including Mineski, Fangay, or just Mineski. And this is our second match of course, the Group A matches. And with that being said, we're going to get right into the draft, of course. This is brought to you by Moonduck TV. My name is Maut. Joining me today, of course, is Maut Packs on Stats. We have Pip Muckle, our observer and producer, who is doing a bang-up job, honestly. And, of course, we also have Purge. Thanks, Purge. What's up?
Seems good.
Seems good. Yeah, there you go.
Do you want me to say something else, or I can just say thanks, Purge? And
yeah, I could just good though. You could just do that the entire time if you feel like it.
That's all I'm qualified for.
Hey, you had some sick analysis, and I'd like to hear what you think of. I don't know. I mean, you're pretty familiar with some of these Team Mischief Dota 2 guys, I'd imagine. And,
yeah,
this is going to be a tough one for them, I think.
Sunbi and Jubei, they both played in Korea while I was there as well. Played against them a bunch of times. Sunbi was recently on MVP Hot 6 at TI5, and I don't think Jubei has made it. No, I don't think he made it to a TI, but he was on MVP Hot 6 for the longest time while I was there. So those two guys I played against a bunch, but I know X Mike very well, of course, but not as familiar with the rest of the team.
Yeah, I mean, Mike is one of the biggest fiends I've ever met in my life. I had the pleasure of rooming with him at TI4. That was an interesting experience. And I think I've told this story before, but the night after, or the day, or like the night of the after party, he goes out and he's like, "Hey man, listen, I'm gonna get all the juicy gossip," and then he proceeds to he comes back like 3 hours after I get back from the after party, and he's just like, "I got all the juicy gossip, dude." And it's like that's how he said it. It's like, "All right, Mike, lay it on me." He did. He shared quite a bit of it with me. So I mean, Mike's good for that gossip, and he's good for that fiending. Him and Bulbo are like the same person in that regard. And of course, they both play off lane. So it's kind of interesting. But we'll see how this goes for Team Mischief as we do get into the draft now, Purge.
So Doom first pick from DC covers a lot of their bases. They can do it as an off lane. They can do it as a carry if they really want to. And just you can pressure a lot of supports with it. So it's a very safe first pick here. You don't want to let heroes like Shadow Fiend or Tusk or Slardar through because they're just a little bit too good in terms of turning kills around and things like that. And I would also argue that DC is a much better team than Team Mischief. I haven't seen Team Mischief play yet, but I think the player quality on DC is a bit higher. So preventing a hero that is not like the easiest hero in the world, but has in some ways an ability to just remove heroes from a team fight. I think it's good that DC has that hero on their side versus Team Mischief's.
Yeah. Even after the changes they made in, I think it was like a half patch ago or something like that, to some of the damage, I think he's still very strong. Scorched Earth makes it very hard for anybody to really take him down. I like the Dazzle Doom combo, but sadly they're not going to be able to grab that. Team Mischief will get it for themselves, and they'll have two very defensive supports already. So with the Dazzle and Winter Wyvern picked up, but Undying is going to be the next pick here for Digital Chaos. And like I said, I should point out, guys, that of course there's only a couple of group stage games, and right now DC being down 0-1. And he pretty much need a win here. I mean, they will be going up against FDL after this, which is an open qualifier, but DC losing that first game makes this a lot more interesting in the group stages here.
Yeah, it really does. The next game is going to be pretty hard as well. I think this is their most likely win, I believe, and they can do it. But after last game, their coordination wasn't maybe the best, and I think it could improve a bit. But so far, I think their picks are pretty good. Undyne gives them decently strong off lane. The two supports that Team Mischief has picked, Wyvern isn't that strong in the early game. Dazzle's quite strong in the first two levels, but doesn't have a disable, so they're very weak on disables right now, and I think the Undyne pick can really punish them.
Yeah, this Undyne could just roll over them if they're not careful, and maybe even do something like a Doom Undying off lane. Every time I see an Undying, I'm just like, do a duel off lane, go run at them, just do something fun. And sometimes it happens and it works, and sometimes they make me real sad. So they have the Undying at the ready if they need it. It's interesting you said this is going to be their most likely win, surprisingly enough, because I have not seen enough of FDL, but there are some very good players in that team. Rhyme has been doing some crazy stuff, some crazy shenanigans from what I've seen. Beast has always been good, and Corey, of course.
Yeah, I think that game is going to be up in the air in a lot of ways, especially because they're the underdogs, so they're going to have way less pressure in their match. So plus, if they're smart, they're sitting here watching all these matches and seeing what Digital Chaos is picking right now and their best of ones. Keep in mind, it is the best of one, so it changes a lot about how you play. You'll probably pick a strategy that maybe isn't. You can't pick something that is super one-dimensional sometimes, because if your opponents can read it and then counter it, then they can pick the perfect heroes to dismantle it and you don't get another chance. So that may come into it as well. Like DC's last game, for example, the heroes they picked were very standard. They covered a lot of bases, but Elite Wolves took the opposite approach. They're like, we're going all in on our arrow strat. It goes all about landing the sacred arrow, and it worked out really well for them.
It did.
If the other team can predict that and say, okay, they're going standard picks, then they can pick around and they can plan around that as well.
Mm-hmm. And so for Digital Chaos now, they've banned out a couple of non-surprising heroes, the Huskar, the Broodmother ban, which is no shocker there. Clockwork is still available if they want to grab it from Mike, which I always make it sound like that's the only hero he can play. That's not true, but he does play that hero very well. Same could be said for Sam, for Bulba on the Clockwork, but with the Doom already picked up, more than likely they've got their off later, at least in one of these two heroes. But Darkseer is going to be the choice, so there it is.
I was going to say, surely Mike can play Earthshaker because he's always wearing basketball shorts anyways. His dunks have to be insane.
He's styling, I'm sure, with his Earthshaker dunks, but they'll go for the Darkseer instead. Now, I haven't seen Mischief in what in the roles they've been playing. What I've understood is that Sunby is going to be playing mid, I believe, and then Mineski fan is going to be playing in the safe lane. I think Jubei and Fun, or rather Kiko and Jason, are going to be playing the support roles, and that will leave Mike in the off lane. That's what I imagine. I don't know if anybody's seen these players since their last, I think, for major qualifiers. So
I'd be surprised to see Sunby. He played in the mid lane. He played off lane on Hot 6, and before that he played a mix of off lane and support. So Jubei consistently was playing support in Korea, so I expect him to do the same thing here, but who knows?
Rasta's been picked up from Digital Chaos after they had it used against them. In the first game, they're going to say, listen, we're going to take it for ourselves. Then Mischief come right back up, and they grab the Elk, which is very interesting.
I like the Shaman pick versus Darkseer because it gives you such a long duration disable. That way, if he does use Surge, you can guarantee that he stays in place. So for core, DC may just go for the safe thing and pick up the Gyro again, because Gyro plus Shadow Shaman can easily kill a Darkseer if Darkseer is far away from creeps, basically, or if the creeps are cleared. Instead, they go for something a little more burst heavy in Lina. And I like this because whenever Alchemist comes up for a last hit, yeah, he can spam Acid Spray, and that's a pain in the ass to lane against. But if he does come up for a last hit, Lina can go for a combo and really threaten his HP. She does have to worry a little bit about ganking, but look at the supports that Team Mischief picked. It's a Winter Wyvern and a Dazzle.
Yeah.
Dazzle is not a good ganker. Winter Wyvern's okay at it. And with the Darkseer off lane, I think Lina's going to have a pretty good 1v1 lane, and with a little bit of rotation, she could definitely get some kills on Elk.
Yeah. And I will say Lina does also have a very wide attack animation range, like a radius rather, I should say. And that's one good thing against the Acid Spray, which seems to, for some reason, cover the entirety of the mid lane more often than not. That thing's freaking huge.
I'm going to agree with you. I've laned against a couple Alchemists the last couple of days, and I could be playing just about any hero, and I'm like, if I want to deny him or harass him, I am taking Acid Spray damage, because otherwise you have to like run across the river or stand halfway in the side of the river. Maybe they need to decrease the AoE of that spell a little bit. That thing is
huge. There's no reason it should take up the entirety of the mid lane, but I digress. Maybe. I mean, listen, there's going to be a patch soon, and then all of our fears are going to go away, and I'm sure Ice Frog will change everything for the better, as he often does. But until that point, Alchemist is still an annoying dumbass hero to play against. Either way, Ember Spirit ban for Team Mischief Dota 2, just getting that out of the pool for whatever safe lane or Digital Chaos decide to go for. They will ban out their next hero coming out. Let's see. I mean, they're going to need to ban out another safe laner. It'll be PL this time, which I think is a fairly good choice. It's kind of hard to deal with unless you can get the Doom off of him. But
yeah, they didn't have the heroes to deal with the PL at all. PL would have been really good against Tombstone and Dying, all that stuff. So, and it would have been the hero that could most get away from Undying and Doom as an aggressive dual lane. So I guess Team Mischief does have that advantage that they know what they're up against in the safe lane, but they don't yet know what Digital Chaos is going to pick for their carry either. And DC does get to pick their carry last, so hopefully for them, it'll be a solution to all of Team Mischief's heroes.
If there's no Gyrocopter picked up between either of these two teams, I'm going to be shocked because of how... I guess Jug's fine too. I mean, Jug has done really well recently. We saw it last game for Ewo. I'm definitely a big fan of this. And the burst damage between... I mean, just Lina and Shadow Shaman, it's so squishy. Even against Undying, it's not that, not that bad either. I think this is a great pickup, actually.
Yeah, it synergizes really well with Mischiefs lineup. They have tons of physical damage sources. They don't have the best range disables right now. That's really the one thing they're
Right.
lacking. But
Right.
if they do go the standard Battle Fury build, even an Omni Slash with Vacuum and Alk Stun, that's a really good combo too. You throw the Alk Stun on somebody, and then you vacuum more people together, and you can get a big AoE stun. So there's a lot of synergy on Mischiefs lineup. Just their range disables and their lockdowns are a little weak. So if DC can stay mobile and not get locked down, it'll be really good for them.
But Beastmaster, last pick, is it going to be the Bulba offlane? It will be. TC's going to be playing Doom in the safe lane. They want to really provide as much farm for the Doom as they possibly can. So this is interesting. Now, the question is, do you leave, like, do you maybe go for... It's kind of hard to go aggro try against Dazzle Wyvern with Beastmaster, Shadow Shaman, and Dying, but I don't know. There's kind of a couple things they could do, I guess.
I think 1437 is just going to roam around pressuring lanes a little bit. He can deal, again, if Juggernaut's not there, he can easily pressure a Dazzle Wyvern. Like, yeah, you're going to take some Arctic Burn damage and maybe a lot of right clicks, but you have pressure potential, and they don't want to lane against a Juggernaut. Juggernaut Dazzle Wyvern is just too scary for either Doom or Undying. So I think they just take this normal, TC gets a fast mech, something like that, and then they just run around 5-manning and ganking. Prevent the Alchemist from getting his big items. Use Beastmaster's Roar to combo heroes down.
Yes.
And as long as they doom here either Darkseer or Juggernaut in a fight, and they can burst down the other core, then the fight's pretty much won every time. I like the DC draft a lot here.
There's synergy on both sides of the river, and I'm a big fan of it. We even talked a little bit about just maybe throwing an Iron Shell on Sunbeam. He can run at some people, but the Roar into LSA or Shackles even to start it off, there's just a lot of catch potential here for DC, and God forbid they get blinks at a couple of these heroes, but TC is going to be, I think, the main catalyst for this game. How many good Dooms can he get off? How much damage can he actually do in the team fights? And how can Yawar scale into the late game? We'll have to wait and see. They're going to go for some 5-man aggression towards the bottom lane, towards the bottom jungle. They have a couple of awards up for the Undying. So Wyvern playing a little far back, Fun, a.k.a. Jason, does not want to get caught out. And they're going to run right towards him, but I don't think any way they could catch him here, even with the board.
I mean, he's a slow hero. They can maybe do this.
They dive for it, though. Now, I don't think they will, and they thought about it. They're going to send the boar behind the tower, and maybe they will. They get the boar to actually hit Jason, but it's just not enough. They're going to have to back away now. They'll throw down a couple of observer wards, or sentries and observers in the process, and just try to block up this camp.
They do have a sentry here on the Dazzle, so they could potentially deward these things, but maybe they are going to keep on dying down here. Just pressure the safe lane really hard. Limit the Jugs farm. If they limit the Jugs farm, actually, Mischief is really weak in the mid game. If they can shut him down a bit, I feel like they just win the mid game instantly.
Yeah.
As long as Alchemist doesn't get insanely out of control or Darkseer doesn't get an amazing vacuum wall, like DC just has a big advantage. So pressuring the Jug is definitely the lane that I'm looking at right now and saying that's the target.
I mean, even if you do pressure the Alk, you kill him a couple of times, it's still going to get an absurd amount of farm just because of how Grievel's Greed works. And even if he's going to get a very early bottle because they'll buy the bounty, or rather grab the bounty rune, so that bottle's going to be coming out pretty soon. Even goes for the poor man's shield just so that he has an extra really good damage block coming out against Yawar here on this lane. I think this is a great idea.
Yeah, he's going to get right-clicked a lot. It gives you a lot more damage block than a regular stout shield does, and it gives you 1 armor. The agility is a little bit wasted, but he is going to be able to take so many more hits from the Lena because of it.
Typical level 1 Arctic Burn Harass against any mid laner. It's pretty standard, and so Yawar will take a lot of damage and probably have to use his salve that he just ferried out. But he'll try to get to that early bottle, but he is going to be very far away. This Acid Spray is going to start coming fast and furious within the next couple of levels for Mineski fans, so we'll see how things do turn out in mid lane. The top lane TC is going to have to deal with some annoying Iron Shield creeps, but other than that, should be okay. Bottom lane, this is where the pressure is going to be at the full. So we talked about this. You talked about this. Sunby is getting some farm now. He's actually got the wave back towards his tower, but they'll trade some for Bulba's farm as well.
Yeah, they just need to control the lane a little bit, and they have. They put their double sentries down. They were able to grab the observer wards, so they get the pulling. Bulba is going to be a bit limited at some point here, but with 1437 in the lane, they can't really go on the Beastmaster and threaten a kill on him just yet. So decent for them, and the Winter Wyvern's doing the right thing, keeping anybody zoned away from interrupting the pull. So looking good for the tri lane for Mischief.
Yeah, there is a bit of a CS advantage for DC, but that might only last for a moment or so here. I mean, Ice Spike's taking some damage. He does have the Surge. A lot of Ether Shocks have been used against Mike to just zone him out. And TC has already had to use his Salve. He does get the Hellbear Smasher, so he's got the Thunderclap at the ready. If they could get a Shackle off, he could get this kill, but he's not level 2 yet and still trying to get there. So Darkseer will back up. He'll be able to salve up as well, get towards his Soul Ring. I don't know. What are you thinking for first item for Doom here for TC? Like, what is the choice in this instance? Like, first big item anyway.
It's pretty consistent lately. You see Dooms go, just for the early game at least, phase plus drum, so that they can chase people down with an Alpha Wolf. But Blink Dagger is really good this game. A Shiva's is really, really good this game due to reducing the attack speed of the Alchemist and the Jug, and not to mention most of the damage is pretty physical based in the early game. So there is some magical obviously with the Ion Shells, but a lot of physical damage. I think a fast Shiva's would be really solid this game.
We'll see if they decide to go for that. How do you feel about Doom Midas in the safe lane? Is that still a thing, or have people just forgone that and gone for the phase drum as you've talked about?
I don't think it's as good as it was before. This last patch nerfed Aghanims, and Aghanims was pretty much the counter to any hero, and it was pretty much the straight ahead, yeah, you should always buy this item. So that helped you scale better into the late game, so Midas helped cover for that, but I think you can't make that decision as much now.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what he decides to build. Owie still doing a nice job zoning out Mike. Just if he could get that level 2 and get a point in Shackle, they actually could maybe kill him. Down bottom, Decay comes out from 1437, trying to contest the pull. He's doing an okay job, but he won't be able to get any CS. Doesn't know where Jason or Fun is. I'll walk around the corner and peek his head out, but 1437 is saying, I don't know if I want to really go any further in here. Alchemist looking like, oh, you are in trouble. Unstable Concoction getting thrown here. He's going to bottle up. Can he get this kill? No acid spray. Light Strike Ray misses, and that actually might be huge, but AUI gets the kill top, and now UR has to get out of the acid spray. He'll make his way out of there. There's the Dragon Slave. Last right click. Will it do the job? It will. UR turns it around even after missing an LSA. Just too much of a dive from the Mineski fan, and that will be 2 quick kills for Digital Chaos to get on the board.
That's such a big kill. Normally Alchemist just sits in his lane and gets a lot of farm, but now the gold advantage going to Yawar, and he's going to hit 6 even faster, which means any rotation from a hero on DC means a dead Alchemist, guaranteed.
Yep. Or even if he gets a good combo, if he has the mana for it, but I don't see what he gets with his rune. Maybe if he gets regen, he can start trying to go for some from spam. Bulba's sitting at level 3 now as his level 2 boar, which is pretty nice. Does a fair bit of damage. This Jug is sitting at 17 last hits, so this aggressive dual lane hasn't done that much, but they've still gotten some decent farm for Sam. Decent farm for Sam in that bottom lane. And what else is happening across the map? Nothing much. TC's just getting farm. No real item for him coming out yet. And that's it.
Yeah, it's looking good for DC right now. Very different than what last game was. It was a 5-0 at the start. And this time they're doing better in the mid lane. Their off lane is doing quite well. Their safe lane is doing just fine. DC is going to be pretty happy with this one. The only thing they're doing okay on AUI now. He's level 3. They'll be pretty happy with this.
Yeah, that kill helped a lot. Level 2 shackles rather, so the duration increased. Meanwhile, the Jug actually dives and gets the kill on the Beastmaster. There was actually no level 6 there, so it was just the spin coming out with the help of the Arctic Burn. That's more than enough to kill Bulba when he's alone like that. So a nice pickup there, and the Jug will at least get a little bit more farm going his way. He's got 900 gold. Buy his phase real quick, and maybe transition into that Battle Free, which we saw last game.
Yawar's trying to deny as many last hits as possible, but he's got to stand in the acid spray to do that. It's so frustrating.
He is one of the longest range heroes in the game with a right click, and she still has to stand in the acid spray for the majority of it. She's bottle crowing, understandably so. To be able to live through this freaking acid spray is ridiculous, but well, I'm sure that'll get changed at some point.
Maybe the damage versus heroes should be reduced or something. I'm not quite sure, but the laning of it is very, very problematic to lane against. Even if you do have the lane advantage, you get pressured too hard by it.
There's just no room for him to maneuver in the mid lane. If it's in the bottom or top lane and you're laning against an alk like that, you kind of maneuver around it. It's not easy, but it's doable.
Oh, really weird skill build coming out of AOI here. He's got 2 points in shackles. I don't think I've ever seen this before, but the damage does scale. In the past, it was very poor to get more than 1 level of shackle, but he's going to go for the 2nd level. 10-second cooldown, 3.5 seconds of disable. Pretty good against Darks here. I do like his double stack here. It's very good of him to do because it's going to help Lina catch up a bit later. So I like his movement here on the map. He can maybe turn this into a gank as well. Yeah,
still level 3, but they've pretty much effectively pushed Mike off the lane for the most part. He's level 5 though, so he's getting some good experience. I'm not sure if he's been in the jungle at all. I don't think so actually. But he's only level behind TC currently. TC sitting on phase. Mineski will grab that double damage rune at the bottom rune spot, which is frightening, but he's not really the most threatening right clicker early on in the game. So this is the good thing for TC2 is that he can just deny creeps with the Iron Shell on top of it. So
yeah, that's one of the main reasons that Doom is picked as a safe laner. He's very good against Dark 3. We should have noticed that in the draft, to be honest. Devour is just so good. Oh, great D-ward here from AUI. Noticing the rotation with the Observer Ward, immediately gets that, and there's going to be a vision lacking for the Radiant team now in the early game.
Yeah, that's not good. Top is going to be... I mean, well, Yawar was looking for a kill on Alk. He does have the chemical rage. He'll pop it, but the rotation coming in. Surge around to the backside. Mike's coming in. He has
he's got face.
no point in the vacuum. And wow, that unstable concoction actually went very far. But Mike was not able to chase any further. A couple of TPs coming in. I think one of them was canceled. 1437 came in. I think Bobo was trying to TP but couldn't do so. And that'll lead into nothing. No kills. Nothing really exchanged there except for a little bit of mana.
Phase Bit's really paying off in this case, though, because he's already got a mobility advantage due to being a ranged hero. But with the Phase, he can run away from things like the stuns and the Surge that the Mischief is going to be pulling out. So I like the Phase choice here. Love this Observer Ward as well, placed by 1437. Gives you really good coverage of the Radiant mid lane without having to worry about a D-ward.
Yeah, this is not something you see very often, but the push is going to come out. 1437 is chasing down Jubei, but he says, I'm going to be fine. Just to back off. Is making a lot of space for top lane where UI and TC are pushing. No Serpent Ward's obviously still level 4. There's the Doom coming out. Mike might be in trouble here. He's got the Scorched Earth. There's the Tombstone, and Mike surely needs to get a deny or something. Gets the Grave off instead. TC will keep chasing. Omni Slash to the backside will grab the kill on AUI. TC gets 2 though. Chases him down and blows him up with the Doom and the Scorched Earth with the right click. Sunbee's trying to chase him down, and actually, TC's in kind of a bit of a pickle here. He does have his TP. He'll try to use it. The tower doing so much work, but he will survive. And they even get the tier 1 top Purge. What a great trade for Digital Chaos.
I was very confused at first. Like, why did he run right and then left? But he saw the Alchemist coming, so he said, I just got a phase left, and I'll make it out. And he did. That was a great double kill. The Grave bought the Darkseer a lot of time, but it wasn't going to be enough time. They weren't going to get a kill, or they weren't going to save the hero with that, and it just turned into a double for DC. So DC's going to be pretty happy with that one. Huge wins all around.
Yeah, the tower, the double kill. TC now sitting on his phase and drum completed. He has Doom up in 44, but he's more of a menace just running at you with the Scorched Earth at this point. You have to be very careful. A couple of stacks being contested by Uwari. Sees this happen. He's got the regen rune. There's a couple of heroes nearby, but I don't know if he can really stop this from happening.
He's just trying to sap some of the experience, maybe get some of the last hits, and he has.
Good job.
Because every last hit that he steals is a huge amount of gold difference for them. Oh, he's going to find Darkseer.
Yeah, the LSA doesn't connect, but there's the war coming through. Doom still not available. Dragon Slave and the right clicks will be enough. And TC now on a killing spree as he rotates down towards the bottom lane. And they're going to chase into the jungle. Top lane, the dive coming through, the blade spin, but AUI TP's in beautifully. TP's out, he says, no, let's go for this. I've got the shackles, and 1437 comes in, gets the decay, the Tombstone, Sunbee in trouble, gets the healing ward off, but not nearly enough, and Digital Chaos. Meanwhile, mid, you are looking for more, but gets caught out. Arctic Burn, LSA will fly, gets unstable, cannot Laguna. You could try to turn this, but they're all pretty tanky and healthy at this point. Now, Jason, Laguna Blade will go. It goes to Jubei instead. He's got the Grave, doesn't even need to use it. You are trying to force out anything, trying to get a kill on anyone, and somehow it gets 3 heroes. He survives as well.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty dead there as well, but that's basically just as a result of the heroes, the support heroes that Mischief has. With a Dazzle and a Winter Wyvern, their aggressive potential just isn't the same. Maybe if they had a Winter's Curse, they could have killed Delina, but that's the only way. The Fiery Soul in the face, he's just way too fast.
Yeah, this is, he's also going to probably have a Yules pretty soon if he wants to build straight into it, which is, he's got 1600 gold in the bank for whatever he wants next. That's a good way of dealing with the Alk. I mean, you actually look the Alk up, and then the other two, I mean, but you look the Alk up, and he can't get his Chemical Rage off with an LSA time right, and I think it's a kill, right? I mean, Alk's not that tanky. Chemical Rage is only healing regen, so.
You have to time it correctly, but it protects you against that stun, protects you against Omni Slash, there's so many things.
Speaking of Omni, somebody's walking right in. The Iron Shell Blade Fury. Can they get the LSA off? They'll Soul Rip himself instead, but the Doom comes in on a Jubei. No Grave for you, and the Scorched Earth, the right click. Jubei's just gonna die, essentially, from the Doom counter, and now Ix Blake in trouble as well. They've already taken down that poor Juggernaut. One more right click, and that is a mega kill spree and a double kill for TC. And now this game's getting out of control.
It really is. They're just getting ran down by Doom. They have no disables. They have no way to stop these tanky heroes from running at them.
Top lane AUI gets the shackles off, the long range, and here comes UR, the LSA. No, you don't even need it. Just let me zap you real quick with that hot sword lightning. And it's a killing spree coming out for Constant Sorrow, aka UR.
And now they've essentially won every single lane. Bobo's transitioned his weak amount of experience into some kills. Yawar is 3-0 and 2. TC is 5-0 and something. Like, the only heroes that are maybe a bit under leveled are 1437.